Hello and thank you. I have two questions, both of them about closing the gap. So,
We want to hear you, but we want to play just a minute. Closing that gap is good, but a gap that isn't widening is good too. So kind of getting up to speed and then moving in the direction, that's not a bad way to live. See what we're getting at? Moving in opposition, not so good. Standing still while life causes your inner resources to move on, not so good. But just moving in the direction, that's good life.
so how do you move towards satisfaction with your health and well-being while the time of your life really leads you towards death? It's kind of opening the gap while you're trying to close it.
It requires a broader look. It requires a realization that there is no death, that it's open-ended, and that you will continue to be. And one of the great benefits of meditation and getting in sync with your inner being is that you come to realize the eternal nature of your being, which takes the sting out of the flawed premise that any part of you is coming to an end.
But you come to enjoy less and less what's happening to your body.
First of all, that's not necessary. It's not necessary to decline as you move through time. That's a byproduct of resistance.
So I guess that's my question. How?
How?
How do you not decline? How do you...
By finding more satisfaction in every moment, and by being willing to accept the decline as a flawed premise, even though there's so much circumstantial evidence of it all around you, to accept it as a flawed premise and then just find satisfaction more moments by more moments by more moments. Wouldn't you say, or would you say, we don't want to put words into your head, yes we do, wouldn't you say that clarity is something that people commonly expect to lose as they move through time? There's a television commercial that comes on that shows your brain and says that your brain stops losing its connectivity as you move through time, and Esther always says, your brain, your brain. But my brain, I can stand over there and I can connect with connectivity. I can become more, and it doesn't matter. Esther gets older every day, you know it? And her ability to receive Abraham just gets better and better and better and better and better and better and better. And so in that way, she's defying the common logic that your brain functions are supposed to diminish. No, you can come to accept that relative to anything. Satisfaction is a state of mind, not a state of condition. And once you discover that, there was a man in the hot seat a few weeks ago who had invented a barbecue contraption. And he explained it and he was very excited about it, but he was also worried about it. And we'd just begun really talking about satisfaction and not satisfaction. We've been talking about it forever, but in those specific terms. And so he was having a hard time following us because he was really worried about this thing taking off, and it invested quite a bit of time and money in it, and he wanted us to give him the magic formula. And we were talking to him much as you've heard here today already, and he still couldn't quite hear it. And so we asked the audience, would being satisfied serve this person? And the entire audience said yes. And then we said, and does he have to be satisfied about the barbecue contraption? And the entire audience said no. He just has to find something to be satisfied about, and then everything else takes care of itself. So what happens with objective logical humans is that you've come and sort of discovered yourselves to be problem solvers. Well, we don't want to call you problem solvers, we want to call you solution seekers. But if you decide you're a problem solver, then you're looking for problems and you're focused upon problems, and it slows you way down. That's what causes the gap not to close as fast as you'd like it to be closing, you see. Helpful?
Helpful.
Something more?
Yes, people. While you're trying to close the gap, some of them trying to open it again, and that's...
It's a sort of common thing. At many levels of their being, to see you moving In the same way that you don't feel good when your inner being sort of keeps moving at your bequest without you, your friends don't like it when you keep moving without them being able to keep up with you either. What everyone wants, whether it's a material object or a pile of money, what's behind all desire is a desire to feel better. So the better you feel, two things are accomplished. You help others realize that you can feel good, and maybe they might believe that they can too, but they might have a lot of flawed premises, like Esther thinking she'd cut the trees down, that keep them from accepting that they too can feel better.
So if everything else fails, you just end up sitting in a small room enjoying yourself.
At first, or a big room. But then what happens is, if that accomplishes what we know it will, and you get into the receiving mode, then you'll get an impulse. And if you follow the impulse, it'll be out there where others are, and it'll be such good timing that then you'll have a satisfying experience, not in a small room by yourself. And then, and only then, will any of this be meaningful, because right now it's just blah, 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 words from someone who apparently really believes what they're saying. Esther and Jerry had a friend. They used to meet with him pretty regularly. Brilliant man. He lived in an estate on the East Coast, and one night at dinner, they met once or twice a year when they would go to the Boston area. And one night Esther said, well, you know, I believe that. And he said, I know you do, Esther. And it's his way of saying, I know you believe it, Esther, but I don't believe it, so give it a rest. That's really the message that he was giving. And Esther laughed so hard she spit her soup, because she so got it that he didn't necessarily want her to drag him by the hair into her beliefs. But I believe that. I know you do, Esther. So you just have to find your own alignment and find your own happiness, and then watch what happens as a result of it, because words don't teach. It's only life experience that teaches. And that's why you know so much that you know. We're just fine-tuning here. But the big thing that we're offering that will serve you so well is letting go of more conditions and being more unconditional, which means you just got to focus yourself into more alignment. And if you can accept that in every waking moment you're offering a vibration, and law of attraction then is calling you to something because of that, and if you can accept therefore that you are always under the influence of something, and that when you are under the influence of your source energy, which really helps you deal with that death thing that there isn't any of, that you're under the influence of source energy, and that when you are under the influence of source energy, you're in the receiving mode, which opens you to everything.
So since you started talking about the first question again, if you're sick, how do you heal yourself? Just by enjoying whatever comes? Because the more
it's harder. Humans assume that if you die you did something wrong. Well, not so. You intended to have various lengths of life experience, and they also assume even that if you get sick you did something wrong, when really that's a really lovely and often very fast way into the transition, which is that open-ended, open door thing that many of you are looking for. Just because you're sick, or just because you are dying, or just because you died, those words aren't even real, doesn't mean that anything went wrong. It's the natural cycle of things.
So no need to heal.
Say again?
So no need to heal.
Well, if you want to, of course. Because sometimes in the contrast of sickness, you launch this rocket of really realizing that you have more that you want to do, and more you want to do here in this body, and you want to realize more of the momentum of the things that you've put into this vortex. You get to choose that, and you get to choose it from your now physical perspective. Jerry got sick and he made his transition, and he said to Esther, you know, this could go a number of ways. This could take me out, or we could figure something out. The doctors can figure something out and I'll stick around for a while, or I could just have a spontaneous healing. He said, and all of it's all right with me. And Esther thought, really? All of that's all right with you? All of that's not all right with me. You don't get to choose what you do with you. You matter to me. You should choose what matters to me. But Esther doesn't get to choose about his reunited with his inner being. She couldn't see down the road. She didn't know the benefit that his not being dead while not being in his body. She couldn't even begin to guess what the advantage of that would be to her. She had a very short-sighted point of view about that, more beliefs that she just couldn't quite get past until she lived it and then got way past it, you see. So yes, you get to make those choices, and when you do, your inner being will back you up in all of them. You just can't make choices for somebody else or even understand the choices that they are making.
So in other words, constantly choosing to continue living, constantly choosing to be healthy, constantly visualizing yourself as a healthy being. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it is, but do it in an easier way, because sometimes you can't think about the barbecue contraption without going into dissatisfaction. So sometimes you have to change the subject into something that is satisfying. And when you get the hang of that, when you are satisfied, we've been saying for a while that the optimum joyful experience is satisfied where I am and eager for more. Well, sometimes you might reach the place where the eager for more means something really different. But there's plenty in your vortex for eager for more too. You see what we're getting at? Jerry had sort of come to the place where he figured he had lived it and he knew it, and he wasn't finding so much eager for moreness. Now that hurt Esther's feelings because she thought she was way worth sticking around for. But eager for more to him meant, because he had been saying, I don't really understand the non-physical, which also hurt Esther's feelings because she thought, that's my job to explain that. But his eager for more, Esther reaching into a place she'd never reached for before, for more connection with more words, for more understanding, for more people. And Esther thought at first that she was only losing with that bargain that he was making with whoever he was making that bargain with. Now she realizes it was win, 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 win. And so we've been saying for a while, you got to get over that death thing because there isn't any. And most people are so dissatisfied with the idea of the inevitable that they never really let themselves live. Most people are so guarded and worried, that could kill you, that could kill you, that could kill you, that could kill you. People don't let themselves really go into places that they want to go because they're fearful of something that really doesn't even exist.
No, I understand of the concept of letting go of fear of death, but I'm still not understanding how to heal if you still want to continue living.
By accepting that the cells of your body know what to do to stay in balance, and they are constantly, trillions of them, consciousness, asking their source for revitalization and renewal. So as your cells ask and you are unsatisfied or complaining or worried, you're offering a vibration into the equation that keeps those circuits from being open enough for the healing to take place. But if you are off the subject that's bothering you and focused upon anything and everything that is satisfying, then you're allowing the circuits to be open. So the cells are asking, the circuits are open, source is answering, and well-being becomes your experience. Exactly like that. That's why doctors are amazed that different people with same illnesses have different results. That's why. And some of them, once they make their transition, they send back a message, I did it on purpose. I know you don't understand. It was my path of least resistance. It's like the goofy squirrel. Done, so it runs right out in front of the car and you say, oh, I killed a squirrel. And the squirrel says, thanks a lot, I was counting on you. Enough? Really good. Really good. That was a big topic. You took it extremely well.